Chapter 8. You Have to Do the Thing You Believe You Can't Do by Eleanor Roosevelt. Brenda's Story. Today I'm a woman who is happily married and has a wonderful family. I have two wonderful parents whom I love dearly and with whom I often spend quality time. I also have a wonderful sister who has a family of her own, and I have in-laws whom I also love very much. My husband is the love of my life. Life is good. God is great. I would like to take you back to the beginning because my life wasn't always good and I didn't always know God. When I look back at my childhood, I have many memories, some really good and some really bad. Both my parents loved me. My mother was soft-spoken and quiet, with traditional values and viewpoints on marriage and motherhood. My father was more outgoing, but still a little quiet with a brewing violent temper, always right beneath the surface. I remember feeling scared of him. I feared everything about him, his voice, the volume of it when he spoke in anger, his contorted face when he was mad, and his body movements that were quick to grab and punish. I was a child who was afraid most of the time, afraid to speak up, afraid to defend myself, afraid to do anything but what my parents told me to do. When I was punished, I was put into the dark closet and sometimes left for several hours. I was beaten on my butt either with his bare hand or often with a leather belt. I also remember times when he tied my hands and wrists and then beat me. I thought, what did I do to deserve this? Was I really that bad of a child? He didn't like crying of any kind. I was told never to cry, and always to hold in my tears and feelings. I continually had problems with bedwetting. When I was in preschool, I remember that a man befriended me who lived next door to the daycare. He showed me a beautiful ink pen and said that I could have it if I went into his house, and I followed him. He picked me up and placed me in the bedroom on the top of the dresser. Then he pulled down my pants. He was touching me everywhere, and I, not knowing that was wrong, didn't struggle. I remember that my parents never spoke of it or talked to me about it. It was brushed under the rug. If we did not speak of it, it did not happen. I learned very quickly to shove things inside myself, especially hurtful, painful experiences and memories. In my youth, I can remember needing to get a health certificate from a doctor, so my father took me to one. The doctor who examined me was doing the normal thing I had seen many other doctors do in the past. However, he then proceeded to fondle my breasts for a while and touch me in those private parts. It was uncomfortable and I didn't like it. But again, I didn't know any better than to be quiet and brush it under the rug. I never told anyone. I believed in some way that I deserved it. I was continually scared of the dark from being put in the closet over and over when I was small. I always needed to sleep with the light on. I always had a favorite bathrobe that I rubbed between my fingers all the time when I needed comfort or when I was upset. I continued doing this well into my early teens. I hated scary movies, but I had gone to a few. As a result, I had huge, unrealistic fears of dark water, ghosts, monsters, or anything that was scary. Life was hard enough for me to cope with. I couldn't add to that pile. I was told continually that I was fat. It sank into my mind and memory bank like everything else negative that I was told by anyone. As I grew up, surprisingly, I did well in school and received high scores scholastically, as well as artistically by playing classical music. I always did what was expected of me. At the age of 16, I lost my virginity to a man who seduced me with alcohol, speaking love to me. At first, I was excited to have sex with a man, but then I wanted to go home. He kept me there, however, and forced himself on me. I took it because I didn't know what to do and was always told to keep things in and brush them under the rug. No one knew. As an adult, I had several relationships with men who were controlling and demeaning toward me, emotionally unavailable, negative, and emotionally and verbally abusive. I was told I was fat and stupid. I was never taught how to process bad emotions, so I continued to suppress them relationship after relationship. Then one day I was so depressed, sad in my life, sad at my lack of control over my hurt, sad at the loss in relationships, sad at my body not being what I imagined it should be, sad at the pain. I tried to commit suicide with bottles of pills. The police broke down the door and found me lying on the bed. The medics had arrived along with the boyfriend and my family. I could hear them all chattering upstairs. A police officer stood by my bed and said that I would be okay. I could hear him even though my drug-induced state. He then started fondling me with his cold hands while I lay there. I felt him trying to feel the rest of my body. It was really strange what you can feel even though the drugs and depression. Again, I said nothing to anyone. I was so used to pushing every bad thing inside of me. I received medical and psychological assistance in the next few months. I remember feeling the sadness and being overwhelmed by it.